Oh my goodness, is it that time again already? Time for Stages of Life Radio with Dr. David Klein. We'll be taking your phone calls because we are live in the studio. Gear up, my friends. 407-422-1212. Or if you want to just text a question, hashtag 23680. That's right. 23680 for the text line as well. I am Melissa Fox from Good Morning Orlando, and now let's hand things over to Dr. David Klein.
It is good to be here. Great day in the neighborhood. So today, what I wanted to talk about was something that will affect an awful lot of people out there, whether you know it or not, whether you realize it or not, and whether you've been made aware of it or not. And that's something called adrenal fatigue, which is really, in all intents and purposes, is the great imitator. Adrenal glands sit. There are two of them. They're rather small, unpretentious. They're not obnoxious. They sit over the kidneys, hence the word adrenal, above the adrenals. So these two little things, these two little nubbins of flesh, get more blood flow per gram than any tissue in the body, to include the heart and to include the brain. This is for a reason, and it has to do with accessibility to the bloodstream. So what do? They dump hormones, 150 or so of them, directly into the bloodstream, heartbeat to heartbeat, 24/7, 365 days plus a quarter per year. And they keep going and going and going until they don't keep going anymore. This is something called adrenal fatigue. And it happens as you get older. It happens as a result of illness. It happens as a result of medications that you may have been given, those that you may be taking, and illicit medications that nobody knows you're taking anyway. So what happens? What happens here is this, is that as a result of your diet, stress, as a result of disease, disorder, and aging, they start to wear out, very much like the tires in your car. The difference is that you are going to expect to replace the tires in your car. You hit a bump, you knock a piece of rubber out of it, you're probably going to have to replace it sooner. You hit a piece of glass or a nail, it's going to happen even faster. The adrenals tend to be a little bit more, let's just say a little bit more subtle. And they burn down over time, and they cause diseases and disorders that you don't even notice happen to you. My favorite, and the one that's going to cause a lot of people some gnashing of teeth, wearing of ash, and that is fibromyalgia. A disease with no known cause. I ache all over. So the docs look you over, can't figure out what's wrong, and then tell you have fibromyalgia and there's no cure. So your only choice at that point is to try to get disability, which you won't get, and to join a Poor Me group on Facebook, the Fibromyalgia Network, or some such nonsense. When in fact, the only thing that's really strange about this disorder is the fact that people don't look for real causes of fibromyalgia. So when the adrenals start to burn down and your cortisol levels start to drop, your DHEA and pregnenolone levels start to disappear, you start to ache all over and your immune system starts to take a hit. So one of the earliest symptoms of adrenal fatigue, adrenal failure, is middle of the night insomnia. It's called mid-insomnia. You start finding yourself waking up at 2, 3, 4 in the morning. That's assuming you're not a radio person. Yeah, I was waiting for that. Yeah, you have to be up because you've got to entertain us when we wake up.
So my hours, though, I still have issues where I wake up a couple of hours.
And there's a reason for that. Okay, and we'll get into that in just a second. So why is it that for you it's even worse? So for Melissa, it's worse. And we've discussed this on other stations at other times for other reasons. And we'll get to it because it's an instructional situation. And if she doesn't mind me using her as an example, which, by the way, I've done in the past. So the way these things work is as the adrenals start to burn down, you start to feel sick. You don't sleep very well. Depression kicks in. And then one of the most interesting things of all starts to occur. And that's that you end up with comorbidities that go with the fact that your cortisol level is starting to drop or your pregnenolone level is starting to drop. They could include dementia. So if you're older, let's say you're 60, 65 years of age, and you're starting having problems remembering names of things, what you're doing, you know you're slipping, all right? Check your cortisol level, check your pregnenolone level, check your DHEA level, because sometimes it's as easy as taking a capsule a day to fix this. And that's one of the most pleasant things in my line of work, is being able to fix these problems for people that thought they had an incurable illness known as Alzheimer's. Then it even gets more interesting. If you have too little cortisol, bad things happen to your thyroid. So you start developing something known as functional hypothyroidism. Well, my doctor got a TSH on me and it's normal, therefore it's okay for me to be gaining weight. My temperature's 97 and don't you know I feel awful. When in fact they need to be checking a second glandular system. In this case, it's called the adrenals. But in all the years I've done medicine, it's the rare doctor indeed that actually checks cortisol levels. And it's rarer still for them to check pregnenolone levels. So it's kind of an interesting problem. So lots of people are out there. We have a ton of listeners on this thing that are suffering this problem and think they have something else going on. So my wife, my lovely wife, Tess, you're going to hear a lot about her because she has a lot of problems. Okay, she's
a hot mess.
She's a hot.
But we love
she's
her.
hot and she's a mess.
Oh.
Okay, not as much a hot mess now as she used to be, but she gets shingles a lot. Okay, she gets it every 6 to 8 weeks. Okay, and so to the point where it's driving her crazy. What's wrong with my immune system? And so it's like, okay, sweetheart, you have adrenal failure. Okay, you got it as a result of some hormone work that she received from a gynecologist years ago. So her cortisol level was 2 most recently. Okay, so she breaks out with shingles again. We bring her in. Let's get a look at your blood work. She doesn't want to keep her appointment, so it gets delayed. And I don't want to come in because of COVID. Finally, we get it. Drew her blood. Found out that we didn't draw enough to do the cortisol level, so I had to bring her back, so I had to eat that one. And then we found that her cortisol level was that of a dead person. So we start kicking up the cortisol orally, and wouldn't you know it, the achiness in the fingers and toes, the knees, the butt, every place that's causing her problems other than me start to improve within a day or two. Now, am I going to be able to drag that cortisol from 2 back up to 10, which is my goal? It's going to be a challenge, but I'll be able to do it. It just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of patience, a lot of mayonnaise, and a little bit of ketchup. And
Wait,
I should be able to
mayonnaise
get
and
it.
ketchup?
I know, because she hates both.
What about pickle relish?
No, she loves pickle relish.
Okay.
So, yeah, but there's a way around these sorts of things. So what is it about the adrenal glands? Okay, and why should we care? And why should I bring it up? And it's because there are many, many problems that we suffer that are directly a result of this type of problem. What about TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone? You know, a lot of doctors can't diagnose thyroid stimulating or hypothyroidism unless TSH goes up.
Well, that's because they're not looking for the right TSH either.
Well, that even aside. Mm-hmm. But what happens is that if you don't have enough estradiol, the pituitary will not drop out TSH. So you don't pick up hypothyroidism because there's no estradiol. But where does estradiol come from? It's largely an adrenal hormone. All right. You think, well, what about my ovaries? What about my testicles? True enough, but most of it comes from the adrenals. So when you don't have enough estrogen, you're going to become functionally hypothyroid because TSH does not get secreted. So it's a very, very interesting mishmash. To some extent, it's kind of like being a kindergarten teacher. Okay, so you have a room with 20 screaming kids, and sometimes they take a nap and everybody's happy, and sometimes they don't. And all it really takes is one kid, okay, to drive everybody nuts. And if you have one kid who let's say, falls down and breaks his neck, you know, the teacher loses her job, okay? So failure can happen as a result of losing one hormone, and that's pretty much what's happening here. So as we get older, and this is the take-home message, and then we're going to start getting into taking calls and whatnot, is that the adrenals wear down with age. They wear down with taking opiates. These are painkillers. They wear down from taking amphetamines, things like Adderall and Ritalin. Mm-hmm. They wear down from taking steroids like Flonase and Advair. These are inhalers.
My goodness.
I nailed you, didn't I?
I'm going to be dead. List everything that I've taken, and I have an incidentaloma on an adrenal.
Yeah, there you go. What a shock.
I know, right? Okay, guys, the doc is taking your questions. 407-422-1212. Or you can text in at 23680. We're also live on Facebook and Periscope. Just look for Stages of Life Medical Institute, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. You're listening to News Radio, WFLA, Orlando. about that?
That
Better?
was pretty good.
Better?
Sounds wonderful.
We are not garbled.
No, we
No,
sound wonderful.
Yeah, with 3 weeks of fighting with engineering. You know,
Well,
it's a wonderful
you know.
weekend. Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
Okay.
hitting the wrong button. But at least it wasn't live. So,
No.
yeah.
It's actually a call.
Yes, but that's one of the challenges of radio, live radio anyway. Okay, and there aren't a lot of live radio shows on, period. Okay,
No.
for a couple reasons. One of which is that it's a pain in the butt, but more interestingly is that you actually wear the problem when there's an issue. So
Yeah.
so for 3 weeks we're fighting with engineering, trying to figure out why the signal was garbled.
Yep, and we finally figured it out, and then
After having been blamed for everything.
yeah, well, no, I was actually blamed.
You
for
were blamed.
I,
Yeah,
it was
not
really,
me,
it was
not
really
me.
me. But we do and are live and making it work, and that's one of the best things so far. We are taking your questions too if you're there. I know there's about 15 people watching us on Facebook. So howdy doody. Let's see, at least 15 makes it like 30 or 40. So there you go. All right, so if you're driving by, adrenals, is that the kidneys?
No. No. Adrenal. It means above the kidneys. They're attached to the kidneys.
Okay, so renals are the kidneys.
Renal's kidney, but it's attached to. And so the body's sort of an interesting piece of engineering. Parts were not put where they're put without at least 10 or 20 reasons why they should be there. And either proximity to an important organ, proximity to blood flow, proximity to excretion. And in this case, the adrenals are right next to the kidneys, which next to the brain receive more perfusion than any other part of the body. But of that portion that goes to that area, the adrenals get more blood flow per gram than any other tissue in the body. That's not because they suck up the energy. It's because they dump their hormones into the venous supply going back to the vena cava, and then it pumps through the rest of the body. So what do the adrenals do? This is kind of a cool thing. One of the processes is it kicks out hormones that allow for blood pressure control. And you're going to think, well, my blood pressure is under good control. Your blood pressure is not under good control. It never is. It changes. It varies. Okay, and it's going to because it has to. However, okay, if you're sitting down, okay, and you go to stand up too quickly, I'm feeling a little dizzy. Okay, what does that mean? You're dehydrated? Does it mean you're sick? Does it mean your autonomic nervous system isn't working? Or does it mean your adrenals aren't dumping enough norepinephrine into the bloodstream? So adrenal failure can give you orthostatic hypotension, which, by the way, a lot of people get, and they're told all kinds of expensive things. Okay, I mean, you are talking some expensive illnesses here, and when in fact you can fix the darn stuff for $20 or $30 a month. So, well, they put me on a tilt table, wouldn't you know it? Okay, they told me I have autonomic dysreflexia. Oh, that's an expensive disease.
Gee, that's a mouthful.
That's a mouthful. When you have polysyllabic diagnoses, you can charge more. Every doctor knows that. Okay? So what do? You figure out really what's going on. Complicated problems typically do not happen. Simple ones happen frequently. In other words, keep it simple. Look for the common things because common problems are common. Adrenal fatigue is all kinds of common. Okay? So there's a reasonable expectation that's going to influence you, if not now, then in some time in the future.
30 seconds.
So what do I think? What I think is this, is that there are an awful lot of people out there with dementia that don't have dementia other than due to the fact that their adrenals aren't working. That's fun. You know, we actually can measure short-term memory. We can measure something called signal-to-noise ratio, which is a very sophisticated way to screen for Alzheimer's. Yeah. And then we can improve it.
Okay, and be quiet. Do, 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 do. Welcome back to Stages of Life Radio with Dr. David Klein. We got a lot of people lined up on the phones here because what? We sound good.
It's about time.
About time. I am Melissa Fox from Good Morning Orlando. Yeah, you know me. So let's go and see if we got someone on the horn here. Hello, Miss Bertha?
Oh, Bertha.
Hi, how are you, Dr. Klein and Melissa? You doing okay?
Bertha, my friend, I am doing very, very well. You know, and I'm so...
Praise the Lord, me too.
Yeah, I'm so happy you found us on the new station. You know, I was worried that you'd get stuck with Hannity on the other one.
Oh.
You know, Dr. Klein.
So what's up?
Wherever you go.
Well, thank you, babe. So what's on your mind today? What's going on?
I want you to shed a light on CoQ10. There's so much confusion with the price. It's cheap to expensive.
All right.
Does price dictate how effective it is?
Okay. The story with coenzyme Q10, okay, is it need not be expensive. At one time it was, because there was one company that had a patent on its production. They were in Japan, and they hosed everybody on the expense. Guess what? The patent ran out. So now there are some people that are used to paying a lot of money for it, and they tend to buy the boutique brands, which really offer no particular advantage. That there are lots of them that are very, very adequate and priced cheaply, and then there's some that are garbage. The ones that are garbage are made from soybean oil. And so what you can do is you can look at the label, and if it says contains soybean oil, keep looking. All right, because you're looking at something that may or may not be cheap, may or may not be expensive, but I can promise you it's not what you want. So at Stages, we have a CoQ10 product that's about $35 for, I think, 100 capsules. Very, very reasonable. You can get it cheaper than that if you're shopping. You know, you can pay a whole lot more than that. You don't need to be going out there and buying these $60 and $70 a month CoQ10s. But the question, Bertha, is how much do you need to take? And it depends upon the circumstance. So if you're taking a statin, that's something for cholesterol, the dosage that you're going to need is about 100 milligrams a day. Not too much more than that. But if you have diabetic polyneuropathy, your dosage is going to be a little closer to 200 milligrams. If you have cardiac issues, things like atrial fibrillation, then the dosage is closer to 300 milligrams. So it really depends upon what you're doing as to how much you have to take. So CoQ10 is, in fact, a B complex member. But the body actually can produce a limited amount of CoQ10. But when you take statins, it trashes that ability. And that's why it's like an obligate B vitamin. It's only a B vitamin under certain circumstances. Diabetes being one of them, atrial fibrillation being a second one, diabetic polyneuropathy being the third. So, Bertha, do you have any of those three problems for which you are taking the CoQ10?
No, I just take it to keep healthy. I have none of those. I don't take any medication at all.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, 100 milligrams would be all you would need. You're taking anything more than that?
I take nothing but Bible. I haven't filled a prescription in 50 years.
You know something? You're my kind of gal. I love you. If I weren't Bertha, if I weren't married, I'd be chasing you.
Love you.
All right. It is good to hear your voice again. Thank you for calling.
That's great. Her line's open, 407-422-1212, or you can text in a question for Dr. David Klein at 23680.
Yeah, she first time I think she called me was after Hannity embarrassed me on national TV. yeah, he met my former girlfriend, the place setter that kept me going until I met my wife, and so he made me proposed to her on national television. He said, "You've been dating her how long?" I said, 5 years. He made me get down on my knee and propose to her. Mm-hmm. So any contract under duress is not valid. I just want you to know that.
In case you're wondering, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he's a good dude.
Make sure you can prove duress.
Yeah. Hey, Klein. Man, they brought the cameras up. It was really awful. I got to tell you.
Yeah. By the way, if you should connect through and don't make it all the way into the studio, because I can see the lines are ringing off the hook here. Just hang on, try back. The lines will open up again. You're breaking our what do you call it? Switchboard right now, Doctor.
Ruh-roh.
See, it was better when it sounded like garbage, I guess.
Well, it's like anything else. You just once you get the voice out there, things tend to do a little bit better. Otherwise, you kind of sound like this. Nothing's out there.
And let's just tell you while we're waiting here, Stages of Life Medical Institute is at the intersection I-4 and 434 in Longwood, Florida. You can get much more information at stagesoflifemedicalinstitute.com. Let's go ahead and talk to Henry from Sanford. He's 43 and he has an eye condition, Doc.
Cool. We're working on eyes today. Henry, what's up?
Hi, how are you?
Well, thank you. How are you doing today?
Back in, good, thank you. Probably back in November, I started losing acuity in both of my eyes.
All right.
And I went to an ophthalmologist, and he thought it might be dry eye, so he prescribed a steroid. That didn't work. Then I was told to go to a neuro-ophthalmologist, which I did up in Jacksonville, and he diagnosed it as bilateral central scotoma.
Okay.
And he said the nerve the connection between my optic nerve and my brain, the nerves behind there, they were degraded. Yeah, so he thought it might be a B12 deficiency, so he prescribed an intramuscular injection.
Okay, good.
Did that for about 4 months, and I didn't see any improvement, and that's basically where I am right now.
Okay, have things gotten any worse?
No, they've remained about the same.
How old are you?
43.
Okay, are you taking any medications? Anything for reflux esophagitis, nothing for cholesterol, depression, anything like that?
Nope.
All right, there are a couple things you'd want to check. First thing is a pregnenolone level. Okay, that's spelled Pregnenolone, pregnenolone. Now, pregnenolone is the root adrenal hormone. It's an anti-inflammatory. It's the body's principal anti-inflammatory. When he gave you the prednisone for this, that was probably a mistake. Okay, now for dry eye, giving prednisone for that is kind of ridiculous. What I typically treat dry eye with, which is not your issue, but if anybody's interested, is something called DHA, which stands for docosahexaenoic acid. And it's a portion of fish oil that actually is present in tears. And when you can take enough of it orally, frequently the dry eye gets better. So if you're taking fish oil, just double the dosage, you'll get enough of the DHA to get the job done. But with central retinal disease like this, okay, this is a neurodegenerative process that can be caused by B12. It can come from folic acid deficiency. It can come from magnesium deficiency. It can come from CoQ10 deficiency. In fact, it can come from a lot of different things because the nerves within the retina are sensitive to inflammation, they're sensitive to nutrition, but the ones in the very center are the most sensitive to things that involve the blood supply. So, what else can do it? Vasculitis. So before you do anything goofy, I'd like you to get a pregnenolone level. It's a simple thing. It's about a $50 test. There's nothing to it. And a cortisol test. That's an AM cortisol because you want to see what the adrenals are doing. It's a brilliant call for this, actually. I appreciate your calling because it really leads right into what our main discussion is. So give that a try. Let me know what the values are because this may not be a big deal to correct. B12 is a good idea. Okay, but you can't just let it go at that and say, okay, I'll see you later. Maybe not. You know what I mean? Okay, so we need to get to the bottom of this. So thank you very, very much for calling and keep us informed.
Yeah, good stuff there.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, right along with what we're talking about. This is Stages of Life Radio with Dr. David Klein, and we do this every Sunday afternoon from 4 until 5 p.m. and every other Thursday, he's on Connection Show because that's one of his big deals.
Until the FCC throws me off.
Yeah, until they're like, you are done, sir. I am Melissa Fox, and if you want more information on anything discussed here, your best stop is at stagesoflifemedicalinstitute.com because you can bounce from there off to everything from Stages of Life vitamins, where you can get nutraceuticals, to
Stages of Life Radio. We have Facebook. We have the YouTube. We have over 200 YouTube recordings. Hopefully, we'll get those up on the podcasts for iHeart. Mm-hmm. So we'll take them one at a time, slip them up there, and start sharing them because they're actually kind of cool.
Sounds like a good idea.
That is a good idea.
Also, if you're looking for COVID testing, the COVID hotline is 407-636-3945. They have employer group testing as well, and that number is 407-255-4371, or better yet, FloridaLaboratoryAnalysis.com. That way you don't have to write down a bunch of numbers. This is Stages of Life Radio. Dr. David Klein in the house taking your calls at 407-422-1212. We'll be right back. It's News Radio WFLA Orlando.
We're starting to hit.
That's what I do.
Well, when you're not running around trying to figure out what's broken.
Well, I know that's the thing. If I don't have to troubleshoot, we can actually have a really good show.
Works. Yeah, it's almost like the old Thursday night shows.
The old ones. We used to do what Dave is referencing is we used to do 2-hour shows from 10 until midnight, 5 nights a week.
Because the kids are asleep.
Right, and well, it was a little more hardcore, but it was 2 hours, and we did a lot of different things as well as the news thing segment, which I still do to this day, just during the Eagle radio stuff that I do from 10 to 2. Yeah, so we got a couple of questions here on our feed. Let's see, that would be Karen says she's listening from Treasure Island, Florida
Cool.
at Dockside Dave's.
Oh, is that ever cool? I like it.
Right. How convenient.
Yeah.
Sarah Grace is following up on your CoQ10 or ubiquinol. To boost the system,
Yeah.
the immune system.
Well, it doesn't really boost the immune system. What happens with vitamins and minerals, they don't boost anything. All right. When the body has a deficiency, it breaks. When you replace what's missing, it works properly. It doesn't really boost anything. What it does, it just allows it to go. So it's no more a booster than a light switch. You throw the light switch on, it doesn't boost the light. It just allows it to happen. So when you're CoQ10 deficient, you replace it, things start to work. You take more than you need, nothing else changes. All right, it's not the same thing with caffeine, I promise you. Okay, you take more caffeine and you start talking like this. Okay,
Yeah, that's useless.
That's very different. Okay, or if it happens to be Adderall, you got a kid on Adderall, it's supposed to slow them down. Okay, if it doesn't, they're not supposed to take Adderall.
If it's not slowing them down, it's not working. Trust me.
It's not
Yeah.
ADD.
No,
okay?
if you have ADD or hyperactivity,
It puts
as
you
I
to
did when
sleep.
I was a kid, black coffee, no sugar, of course, no cream, at 10 o'clock at night. And you'd be like, what? You've got to be kidding
and
me.
you go to sleep.
Right.
Right, that's what's supposed to happen.
Tasmanian devil.
Yeah, but you give a kid sugar. I don't care about the ADD or not. Okay, they turn
No, they're
into
crazy.
gremlins that are fed after midnight. Okay, this is a bad thing.
All right, we got about a minute and a half. When we come back, Harry's on the phone from Central Florida.
Cool. We're in Central Florida.
How about that? He
Okay.
doesn't want to tell you where.
Aha,
That's what
okay.
I'm catching.
All right.
Linda said to tell you also that sounds really good.
Oh, thank you, Linda.
You're doing good in there.
And I like the bump music.
Right?
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm just sticking with that one because it's got.
Well, so actually, she was a real musician. Me, I was a professional musician, but I wasn't any
You
good.
were.
I wasn't any good. You know, I mean, I could earn a living, but I wasn't any good.
All right. So, anyway, again, thank you all for paying attention to us on our social media sites. It looks like we're broadcasting across a bunch of different platforms right now, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah, we're on Connections on Twitter or Periscope, Connections on Facebook, and Connections on YouTube. Stages of Life on YouTube and Stages of Life as well.
And if we
on
danced, we'd be on TikTok.
Facebook. You know what? I'd stay away from the those crazy TikTok apps.
Yeah, well.
Oh, here's a good one. Okay, we also have a question on the text line, which we'll get to in less than 10 seconds. Thanks for joining us on our feed here. Please share if you care. Go across the top, though, on the browser and share that address as opposed to that watch party crap.
Well,
And we're laughing. And we're back. Hi. It's Stages of Life Radio. 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Sundays, right here on News Radio WFLA, Orlando. I am Melissa Fox, but Dr. David Klein, he's the star of the show. You can check him out at stagesoflifemedicalinstitute.com. They accept new patients, and from what I understand, they even do those telehealth visits too.
we do all of the above.
Yeah.
And so if you've got Medicare, we are happy to bring you in. Okay, not some of these docs' offices where you have Medicare,
Oh,
go
yeah.
away.
Yeah.
No, actually, I kind of like old people. They remind me of myself.
Here's a way to get a hold of us today, old people. Yeah,
It's
we've
got kicked.
got a few questions on our text line that let's see what we got here. 23680 if you want to text us. This one here is how long should I wait after flying to get a COVID test?
It depends on where you flew from, actually. So there's certain places in the country where you have to stay indoors for 2 weeks until you get tested. So generally speaking, it takes 3 to 4 days after you've been exposed. So if somebody coughs in your face, or let's say that you eat a bowl of whatever, of chili that got soiled by some clown that didn't wash their hands, it generally takes 3 to 5 days for you to start to become viremic. It takes 3 to 5 days before you can start picking up the antibodies. So it doesn't make a great deal of sense to test before that, unless you absolutely have to. In other words, gee, I'm an NBA player and they're going to check me every day. Fine. Okay, I'm a political talking head and I got to go talk to the president. Fine, I get it. Or let's say that you're going to the UAE, United Arab Emirates. You're going to have to get tested as soon as you get back. You're going to get tested once you get there. And that's just the way it's going to be. Going in and out of Colombia, it's not going to happen at all. So there are lots of reasons and timings. So at Stages, we do lots of COVID testing. You don't have to stand in line for 2 hours. None of that nonsense. You come in, it takes about 5-10 minutes just to do the paperwork, and it takes 30 seconds to get the test done. You get alerted as to what the issue is sometime at 3 or 4 in the morning that night, and you can go about doing your travel. So we're getting lots and lots of travelers. So what do I think? Wait 3 to 5 days and do it then, because then you'll get valid information. Which test do you want to get done? That's a different question. Depends on the nature and the style of your life and the nature and style of your exposure. Something we discuss with people all the time.
Okay, let's go to the phones. We got Harry. He is 60 and peripheral neuropathy in the foot.
Cool. All right. Harry, talk to me. What's going
Yes,
on?
how you doing?
Well, thank you. Tell me.
Thank you for taking my call.
Happy to do it.
I had developed it about 3 years ago. I had something fall on my toes, and it caused me a compound fracture, which led and spread the pain over to one foot to the other foot.
All right.
And then about in the middle of all this time, of this 3-year period, I wound up with a 5-way bypass.
Okay.
I take a generic Lipitor, metatoprol, blood pressure,
All right.
hydrochloroside for the water. I can't. This pain is like ferocious.
Okay. Where did
What can
you?
I do?
Yeah. Well, for starters, when you dropped the item on your foot, where did it land? Was it? Let's look at the big toe. So, where in relation to the big toe did it land?
The big toe and the second toe.
Okay. There's a nerve there called the deep perineal. This is what I was afraid you were going to tell me. So, between those two toes is a nerve called the DPN, or deep perineal nerve. It's in a vulnerable spot, it's just proximal to the web between the two toes. So it's like where your shoe would rub. Kind of an interesting place to get a nerve damage. Yes, it is a peripheral neuropathy. Interesting thing to this is that it's actually very easily treated. So yeah, you're taking something for which you should be taking CoQ10 and B12 for that matter. Yeah, that's all well and good, but it's not what caused your problem. What caused your problem was the swelling from the impact. Now, there are a couple things you can do. You need to change your shoes. Okay, if you're wearing socks, they can't be too thick because it'll put pressure on that area. The way I treat this is actually very easy, and you'll know within 15 to 20 seconds whether I'm correct or not when you apply something to it called keto GABA. That's ketoprofen 4% and gabapentin 5% in what's called wrench anhydrous base, and very, very specific base for this because it'll pull the medications through the skin, hitting the nerve itself in about 15 or 20 seconds. If that's the case, that's how you fix it. Okay, you can take the
Keto gabapentin?
Yeah, ketoprofen / gabapentin.
I take 600 milligram of gabapentin right now.
I don't care how much you're taking it orally.
So,
okay, you're taking it the
so
wrong way.
This is a special formula.
Yeah, I have it compounded. So here's how it works. Here's how it works. Okay, it's about 40 milligrams of ketoprofen and 50 milligrams of gabapentin that hits an area of about 10 grams. Okay, so you're getting it in that area in a concentration that you would have to take maybe 100 times what you're doing orally. You'd never be able to stand, and your heart wouldn't beat. So this stuff is dynamite for this. I invented it about 20 years ago for a gal that had carpal tunnel syndrome. So she was getting pregnant. I had to fix this without giving her the medication by mouth, and this is what I came up with. So ever since, I haven't referred anybody for carpal tunnel surgery in almost 15 years. Okay, and as far as
where can I get this?
Well, this is a prescription item. Okay, so if you live locally, the best thing I would suggest that you do would be to make an appointment at the office, and then I can set you up with the medication.
I live in what do you call it? By Legoland.
Okay, it's not a problem. You have a car?
Winter Haven.
You have a car?
Yeah,
you
sure.
drive. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
We have patients that
no,
come.
I mean, where exactly are you?
I-4 in Longwood.
Yeah, we're just north of Orlando. It's about 40-minute drive for you, and that's with all the traffic. And if you take the bypasses, it's actually not that bad. Mm-hmm. So if you're living out by Legoland, I guess that has its advantages and its disadvantages. But this is easy. But what happens is you'll be able to figure this out in about 20 seconds. Okay, it is fast. This stuff is magic. Okay, either it's going to work or it won't.
It's topical.
It's a transdermal. It's applied to the skin, but it goes through the skin.
Oh, it's a skin patch.
It's no patches here. It is a cream. You apply it to the skin, and it blows its way through very, very quickly. So one of the things I like doing for medical students, because they never really believe you can do this anyway, would be to take a little dab of it and put it at the corner of their lips, where the upper and lower lip come together. And I say, okay, tell me how long it takes before you start feeling numb in your lips. Okay, and it's about 15 seconds. So that's how long this stuff takes to work. But it goes through the skin, hits the nerve, and it knocks it out quickly. So the flurbiprofen or ketoprofen, you can take your pick. I prefer keto because it's faster, is an anti-inflammatory. Now, why is that? Because there's almost always an element of inflammation that's progressive. It just keeps this thing active. The gabapentin is something called a membrane stabilizer, and it takes the nerve and settles it down. It settles it down fast. So it'll do it to the axon of the nerve, but it also does it to what are called the chemoreceptors and the mechanoreceptors, which are damaged here. What nerve got damaged? Again, it's the deep perineal, but what portion of the nerve got damaged? And it's actually something called the nervi nervorum. Okay, and you're not going to care about this, but it really makes a difference. The nervi nervorum are actually the nerves that innervate the nerve, which is why when people have carpal tunnel syndrome, it hurts at the wrist. The median nerve goes from the fingers to...
This pain, to let you know, it's spread to the other foot.
Oh, I understand. You probably have an entrapment neuropathy there to begin with, and when you had this thing drop on your foot, it just set it off. No, I don't think you have complex regional pain syndrome, which is what you would see spread like this. I think basically you have deep perineal nerve entrapment. Something that's very common. I've been doing this for over 40 years. I can't tell you how often I've seen this. And it may be coming from your shoes or boots. They may be coming from your flip-flops. Things that put pressure over that area will set this off. And if you haven't...
So you're saying this is an actual cure, not a Band-Aid?
Yeah. I don't know how many different ways I can say it. You know,
phone number when we hang up here. I need to get your phone number when we hang up.
All right, we'll get it to you. Don't worry, you're worrying too much. All right, you're going.
Well, I've been dealing with this pain for you have no idea.
My friend,
and gabapentin makes you gain weight like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I use gabapentin in my practice. I actually wrote the first article on the use of gabapentin to treat pain back in the 1980s, and I took it to a company called Park Davis, and they told me I was crazy. Oh, it doesn't work for pain. It works fine for pain, in particular when it's used transdermally. When it's used transdermally, it's awesome. And so I keep it in my medicine kit at home because it's very, very useful when you have nerve injuries. So, and my wife, who's very clumsy, in addition to most everything else, so we use it in her all the time. So give us a call, and we'll see what we can do. I think that frankly, I don't think this is going to be a big challenge. You're going to be okay.
If let me ask you a question. If I have my neurologist contact you, can the two of you chat and I can get this product? I don't sell the product. The pharmacy sells the product. Your neurologist is going to have to know exactly what he's doing. I want to look at it and put it on there first. I want to be the one that makes this thing happen. So give me a call. And by the way, there's no such thing as a normal neurologist.
Right. 407-679-3337 at Stages of Life Medical Institute. Be patient. You got to get past Iris.
I just insulted 12,000 neurologists.
I think you did. That's true. Dr. David Klein and Stages of Life Radio right now on News Radio WFLA Orlando. Be back in a shake of an owl's tail. Seriously, it's only like a half.
It's actually very easy.
Minute and a half breaks.
Yeah, that's an easy problem to fix. Mm-hmm. Honestly, that we would do between real patients. All right, piece of cake.
Who's speaking?
Me.
No, it was.
Was it flashing?
879-3339.
Oh.
Yes. 679-679-33.
37. 679-3337.
Yep. Thank you, my friend.
Keep listening because we'll mention it again a few times.
Thought I hung up on him. Who's talking?
Yeah, there we go.
Oh my gosh, someone's talking. Well, at least that was a minor error, okay?
Well, it's okay. We'll live with that.
Yeah.
This thing looks like a spaceship, which is really actually how the man is listening to us. Okay, it works in conference calls. You see these in movies all the time, but I've never really seen one up close and personal. I bet it was expensive. So, yeah, it lights up like one. There was a toy when I was. What was it called? Simon. Yeah, the thing that lights all the way around it. Well, my daughter had Simon. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was better at it than I was, and I think she was 2.
Probably so. 13 seconds, and we are coming back. So yeah. I don't know why. It's so weird, but okay. 5, 4,
3, 2, 1.
I know, right? We're back. Stages of Life, medicalinstitute.com for any information about what we talked about. I think Harry's going to be visiting you.
Yeah, well, Harry is easy. That would be like a chip shot before lunch.
True. This is Stages of Life Radio with Dr. David Klein. I'm Melissa Fox, just helping out. I don't know anything. Really don't. We learn every day.
Well, you know
every day.
What's funny about these neuropathies of the feet, okay, because I probably see one new patient a day with this or something similar, and they're told all kinds of stuff.
With the feet?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's an interesting kind of a thing. The feet are rather unusual in the fact that you walk on them. You know, so they take a beating.
Sort of do that.
Yeah, and then they'll swell towards the end of the day. You put things on them called shoes, which wrap them too tight. A lot of people wear not very sensible shoes, and it'll cause all kinds of nerve, let's say entrapment neuropathies or pinches.
Fair enough.
So this one, the deep perineal, is almost always traumatic like that, but it can also happen from wearing flip-flops because the tongue of the flip-flop goes right up through where this nerve runs.
Ooh.
So you have to be careful what shoes you're wearing, what socks you're choosing, and this sort of thing. A lot of folks don't ever actually get their shoes fit properly. So there's a lecture that's usually attached after you start fixing these things, which is now you are not going to DSW to buy your shoes.
No, man.
You're actually going to a real shoe store.
Don't you build from the base up, my friends. It's just like a house.
Yeah, but people are, what's that word I'm looking for? Cheap.
Oh. I have a couple up the text line here. Again, our phones are open, 407-422-1212, or you can text us at 23680. We've got one here. It says, I'm a post-menopausal woman who recently wanted to donate blood but was told my iron levels are low.
Okay.
I don't want to take iron supplements. What else can I do to get my iron levels up? By the way, not a big red meat eater.
Okay, well, here's the kick. So what they're telling you is that you're anemic. Okay, so it's not just the iron that's the problem, but it's the anemia that causes a little bit of disturbance. They don't want to be sucking red cells out of you when you're not producing enough for yourself. So while they may seem like they're selfish and they were greedy for that blood, okay, really they don't want to take it from you if you need it worse than they do. So it's not a matter of whether you want to take iron or not. It's a matter of trying to fix the anemia. And iron is only one of many causes of anemia. So iron deficiency anemia is something called a microcytic anemia. Sometimes it's fairly easily picked up. So you take something called chelated iron. It's a nutritional supplement. You take a couple capsules a day. It costs about $12 a month. Nothing to it. But you also need to be careful that you don't have a B12 deficiency or a B6 or B9 deficiency with it. So you should be taking a B complex along with it. So no, you don't necessarily need to be taking any medication, so to speak, although these nutritional supplements are every bit medical. So what would I do? I'd be taking chelated iron. I'd be taking it in a heartbeat. Why? Because your heartbeat may rely on it. So don't be so hard-headed and take the chelated iron.
I like it. Okay, let's see. We got Carolyn from Longwood just down the street. She's 64. She says she can't lose any weight, and she also has an arrhythmia.
Okay. We're running a special on arrhythmias these days.
Really? Hi, Caroline. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hey, how are you doing? Carolyn, are you there?
I'm doing, it's Carolyn. I'm doing pretty good.
Excellent. What's on your mind?
Well, I have been trying to lose weight for probably the last 30 years.
Okay. How old are you, Carol?
I am hypothyroid.
Yeah, of course you're hypothyroid. How old are you?
I'm 64. They say my numbers are normal, so there's nothing wrong.
Right, I got it. Okay. Well, here's the kick with being postmenopausal and the numbers not being wrong. If you don't have enough estradiol, which is what happens when you're postmenopausal, TSH levels don't go up, so the docs miss it about 100% of the time. And that's probably what's happened here. So, Carolyn, what's your temperature run when you take your temperature? How low is it?
My temperature is like 98.4.
Okay, does it get much lower than that?
Not usually, but it's lower than normal people.
Yeah, which means that your thyroid is inadequate. Okay, so it doesn't really matter. They can do TSHs until the cows come home. If your estradiol level is too low, they're going to get the wrong result out of it. In order to really evaluate this properly, you get a TSH, sure enough. And you don't get the lousy one. You get the highly specific one. It doesn't cost a nickel more, but that's what you want. But you also need to get a T3 level, a T4 level, a free T3, and a free T4 level, because this tells you the production side of what's going on. And then on the destruction side, you need TPA and ATG levels. That's the blood work that you need to look at a thyroid. But also, okay, you need an estradiol level, a progesterone level, a testosterone, and that might give you a pretty good idea of what's going on. And then the cortisol level. Each of these things can influence the way the thyroid works, whether it's production, destruction, whether it's structural, in other words, you can have autoimmune thyroid disease, or whether or not it's functional. So are you hypothyroid? The answer is of course you are. The weight is one of the first things that goes up. Depression is inevitable. The heavy irregular menstruation that you had before you stopped is inevitable. The elevations in cholesterol, all of these things suggest hypothyroid. So what do I think? I think you are the poster child of hypothyroidism. I see people just like this every day. Happens a lot. Why? Because and there's an expression that I like to remind myself of, and it's a question. What is the difference between a rut? You get yourself into a rut, and a grave. What's the difference between a rut and a grave? And the answer is depth. Okay, so a lot of doctors end up in a rut that gets deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper because they are trained one way and never question what they're doing. So are you hypothyroid? Of course you're hypothyroid. Low temperature, low metabolism, depression, heavy irregular menstruation, or early menopause maybe, but in your case I don't really know that, an elevation in cholesterol. And then there are other things that will happen as well. So you're going to start seeing issues with hyperinsulinemia. That's inevitable. So your insulin level goes up, and that makes losing weight even harder. So, yeah, this is something that you need to look at.
Can this affect, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, go on.
Can this also affect my arrhythmia with my heart?
It affects every cell in your body, to include the heart. So, yes, that's what happens.
Okay, because
yeah.
my resting heart rate's above 100 and has been for the last 6 weeks.
Okay. That's not an arrhythmia. That's just a little tachycardia. Okay, so what happens is the heart doesn't pump as well. So you end up with, let's say, a lower ejection fraction. So if you have a lower ejection fraction, your body makes up for it with heart rate. So my ejection fraction, I'm 66, is 70%. That's high. Okay, so my heart does not need to beat very, very fast at all. It doesn't have to. But if it's not pumping as efficiently, okay, then it will have to beat more rapidly. So do I think that it's thyroid? The answer is yes. The treatment's actually very simple. It's a very inexpensive thing to treat, and there's no reason for you to be suffering with this one. So that one is another one you may want to give me a holler.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, this is also garden variety for the work we do. So we see 4 to 6 new patients a day, and half of them are for thyroid.
All right, Kathy is watching us on our Facebook Live feed on Stages of Life Medical Institute's page, and she said, just read an article about quercetin for COVID and allergies. It's a new supplement to me, but I'd like your thoughts. And you can do that for me?
There's nothing new about quercetin. It's been around forever. It's marvelous for allergies. Also, if you want to have some fun with it, it reduces your risk of cancer.
Oh.
Okay, and if you don't believe it, go on the National Library of Medicine. There are going to be doctors listening and think, I never heard of that before. Go on PubMed and do a Boolean search. Look for quercetin, put a space, and then put cancer prevention or cancer survival, and you're going to see it listed a couple hundred times. So quercetin is marvelous stuff. It's also useful to lower blood sugar, lower insulin levels, and reduce weight. As far as COVID's concerned, not so much, because it's really not an antiviral or an antibacterial. If you want something for COVID, look up colostrum, lactoferrin-containing colostrum, which is a face full of gamma globulin, and it actually goes after the virus the way that nature wanted us to. It emulates what happens when you're born. First thing you look for, your head comes out, you look around. What you go for next is milk. What's in that milk is colostrum. And it's true with people, it's true with cattle, it's true with sheep, it's true with dogs, cats, bobcats. Everything is the same thing. When you're born into filth. Okay, that's what we have here with receiving you. Yeah, the doctor may have gloves on, but in his lap is a big pile of poop. Colostrum is what you want. It's true. We've all been to the
And on that note, we're putting Dr. David Klein to bed. That's it. This is Stages of Life Radio every Sunday, 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. You might want to make a note of it for future reference. You can check out stagesoflifemedicalinstitute.com for all kinds of medical information, radio shows, and more. Or call the office at 407 679 3337. We're out of here. Thanks for listening. It's News Radio WFLA Orlando. That's beautiful.
Thank you very much, those of you on Facebook and elsewhere. It is my pleasure to be here. And we actually pulled off a good show today because technically we got it right.